My name is Karen Aben. Over the last 18 months, I have been coordinating the Forested at First project. The Forested at First project was an experiment. It was about really exploring whether biomimicry thinking and practice would bring value to communities in the oxygen catchment of Garvagh Forest, and really exploring thinking differently around the relationship with the rest of the natural world, as exploring what we can learn from the rest of nature and thinking differently around our own making and designs. We've been trying something really new, and it was for all of us outside of our comfort zone the last 18 months. And we've been learning as we've been going. So there's something really important about sharing our kind of stumbles, our path, our missteps, and what we have learned, because that's important for other places who might want to do something similar. I think one of my first high points was seeing David with the Moneydig group as part of the Community Design Challenge. It was just such a lovely session and a real sense of David and the group truly learning together and just being amazed by what we were discovering.
My name is David Keys. I'm a member of the Hare Cooperative up here in Garvagh. My involvement in the project was to work on the Community Design Challenge. Basically, I worked with 4 local groups. With each group, we picked a challenge that was usually something local or relevant to the group. And we then tried to use nature as inspiration for design for our solution. The 4 groups were Moneydig, Ballyran, there was Can up at Coleraine, and then we actually had a cooperative group as well. I'll not lie, I was quite panicked at the start because this was all very new and I had no idea how it was going to go. So we really were starting with a blank sheet. It helped from Nicola Payne and Richard Dawson, who we are 2 biomimicry experts, and they were fantastic in their support and helping us to develop what we did with the groups. We put together a 6-week program, and in that program then we started off introducing biomimicry and then talking about design and how nature designs and how man designs and the differences. With each group we had different challenges. The Moneydig group, for example, their challenge was they kept on organising outdoor events in this fantastic green space that they have in the community. And with our Northern Irish weather, it kept on raining, spoiling the day. That was their challenge. How do they get around that? Their solution, it actually was beautiful. It was a large leaf-shaped structure. We're taking a bit from the design of a leaf and how the structure is made up from a strong spine up the middle with ribs coming out from it, and then everything's held together with a panel. So yeah, they had sort of several pieces of inspiration from nature. The canopy of the structure is going to be made up of waste textiles stitched together in a kind of patchwork. So the inspiration for that was how nature uses waste to its benefit. Then we looked at how ducks waterproof themselves. The inspiration there is we're going to use oil on the textiles to waterproof the canopy. The structure itself, the joinery aspect of it, where we're joining uprights to the top. We were taking inspiration from how a branch comes out from a tree trunk and there's a continuous wood grain that flows through. So instead of having one bit that fits into another, it has actually continued up and across the joint, so it makes it super strong. But it was a lovely, lovely project, and we're hoping at some point to get a bit more money to make it actually happen in real life. Proud of all of the groups. They all did really, really well. Grasped the concept of biomimicry. I loved how they all came together. Many rows, which you sometimes get in a creative process. I think they all loved just having something at the end that they could, look at and say, well, that's a really good idea, or that worked really well. How do we make this happen? I think it's developed me as a maker, and it's opened my eyes as to how other people work as well. Again, I think one of the loveliest things about it is, that there's just that feeling of collaboration and everyone's working together. So there's no competition. That's a really good driver for me. It's inspirational.
Another high point was the Phantom Artist installations in the forest, and just seeing how they created so much curiosity from people we wouldn't have connected to before, and people learning about life in the forest they had never noticed or observed.
One of the fun parts of being part of the Hare Corner over the past couple of years, and our recent project was the Phantom Artist. I had the task of following around and doing TikToks of the Phantom Artist. It was a mystery of who is this Phantom Artist, what's going on, but I enjoyed going and searching for that piece of art in the forest and taking some footage of it. Sometimes when you were out there trying to collect some footage, you might have noticed, people going past and, really enjoying seeing that artwork. I'm not saying it was, I was flying viral or anything, but the TikToks were still hitting people, and people were connecting with them and resharing them and stuff, and it was nice that they were enjoying them. Such amazing artwork, but we'll have to find out who is that Phantom Artist. The mystery remains.
Children's design morning, whilst there were some low points, the highs was seeing 120 children rushing and running to the gallery in the marquee of all their designs, and really taking time to look at each other's designs and offer feedback, and the pride of seeing all their designs together. I think a lovely other bit of the community design, that children's design fair, was all the companies and businesses that had set the children their challenges to come up with designs, learning from biomimicry, and there was a real sense that we were connecting to children and local economy and wider community. So that was a seed that perhaps had some fertility in it.
Like here, you put it in here and you link it up to somewhere in the cab, and it washes the tyres for you automatically.
This is the first time that children have been doing biomimicry in Northern Ireland. So you're the first.
In total awe of the teachers.
6 people that really deserve a big thank you. So we are going to call up the lead teachers in each of the schools. They want to come up.
I am in always total awe of people who say yes with not a clue what they've said yes to. Thankfulness and gratitude to the teachers for embarking on a journey around biomimicry. It was lovely working with Richard, who just was such a support and a source of expertise. And the evaluation, we have really hard evidence that the experience for the children of engaging in biomimicry thinking has shifted their mindsets around their relationship to the rest of nature. So there's a real impact there, that this works in terms of shifting mindsets. So another high point of the last 18 months was when David and I went up to the Queen's exhibition of all the students' work. And I don't think we had quite realised what it was going to be like or look like. And we were totally bowled over when we saw 2 big walls with Hare's Corner Cooperative and all the designs that the students had come up with in terms of spaces in the forest to play, and we are continuing that relationship with the architectural team at Queen's, as they will be part of our next project.
See this group here? Knee, chest, sue. Knee, chest.
Part of the Forest at First was really thinking through whether the Doughnut, as part of Doughnut economics, works as a compass point that helps shape a direction of travel and helps shape what is important in this area. So we worked with the Rural Community Network and then Nick Mack to begin our portrait of place. It's about looking after the place that looks after us, and that well-being of people and well-being of the land and the soils and the waters and nature. And I suppose making visible, there's so much care in this place. People are caring for each other, people are caring for the place, but sometimes we don't see that. Something about making visible the relationships that exist. And when you make things visible, it gives me energy. When when you start to think, actually there's lots of good people, there's lots of good things happening, and there's lots of people who care about the rivers and the forest and nature. We've always kind of had the notion of the oxygen catchment which is not a scientific term, but it's the idea that forest provides the air that keeps us alive and breathing, and we give back the air to the forest. So we kind of had this notion of the oxygen catchment, which is really bounded by the 6 schools that we've had a relationship with over the last 6, 7, 8 years. So from Hare to St. Columba's up there, and St. Patrick's, St. Joseph's and Carhill, and Doughnut Primary School and Goran as well. And part of that was really looking at all the data in this area and collating that about what does the data tell us about how well people are thriving and how well the soil, the water, the lands and the biodiversities are thriving. And then we had a series of lovely conversations warming up the data, because data on a page is very cold and inaccessible. So we warmed up the data through a series of conversations in Moneydig, Glenullen, Bellerin and Garvagh. And there were some lovely conversations. I remember one quote in Glenullen where one of the guys said, "Never forget the hedge which dried your first shirt." And there was real sense when people are given the time and the space to that real love of place. And that's where I think our next 4 years is about really surfacing the love of place and people's connections and relationships to place. The Town Anywhere event was the culmination of our 18 months. And it was really about bringing all the relationships we had built up over 18 months and longer into a big marquee to imagine what this place or the oxygen catchment might look like in 2035.
Delighted to welcome you to the first Town Anywhere event here in Northern Ireland, held here in Garvagh. Today is about imagining what a fairer, more regenerative future could look like.
I'm Ruth, and I'm your time traveller guide. Thank you all for agreeing to go on a journey with me today. A journey into your imagination. Just allow yourself today to just be here as somebody who's willing to vision, imagine and play with what a town, a place, a bioregion, a forest called Anywhere could be like in 2035.
Why we approached the Town Anywhere team was that it wasn't just about visioning theoretically, but it was deeply practical in terms of building with cardboard and wood and materials. So by the end of the day, you could walk down the streets or through the streets or different installations and physically feel what it might look like and what it might feel like. It gave us a direction of travel with some key areas that people identified, such as food growing, such as care. That gives us a roadmap for the next 4 years.
Today, there's a small portal open just here, right now on this site, where there's a window of opportunity for us to time travel to 2035. Let's just imagine that the foundations you have been laying, the community networks, the projects, the organisations here in 2025 have created a cascade of imaginative, remarkable and positive change by 2035.
It's not an exaggeration to say that future generations will look back on all the great work done today, rising to meet the challenges we faced with pride, admiration and gratitude. Declare Town Anywhere now open! Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Look at that! Woohoo! There we are.